better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark, and joining me today is the Yuli DiMartino. Yuli,
what's
welcome
up,
back
guys?
to the show.
Thank you.
And hey, for everybody joining the live stream today, a reminder, as always, we are live across all CDG social media platforms, all of them. Post those comments. We want them for today's show. We bring them into today's show, and it changes the trajectory of what we talk about. By the way, speaking of today's show, Yuli, we've got a big lineup. So Nissan is an OEM of much conversation lately. And if you think about the average Nissan dealer across the US, there's probably not too many that are pulling in, you put together a couple stores, $1 million nets. We've got one today coming up from the big state of Texas. Roland Lynn is going to give us the secret sauce to building that net at a Nissan store. Plus, Piazza will join on maintenance schedule mismatch. So that'll be a heck of a lot of fun. But first, let's dive into today's biggest headlines in automotive. So first up this afternoon, Canada's import mix just flipped. In June, it bought $784 million in vehicles from Mexico versus $689 million from the U.S., marking the first time in 30 plus years Mexico topped the U.S. in car exports to Canada. The shift follows Trump's tariff on foreign vehicles and Canada's retaliatory duties on U.S.-built models, disrupting the long-standing free flow of autos across North America. Historically, Canada has been the largest buyer of U.S.-made cars, importing more from America than from Germany, Mexico, and China. Get this, Yuli, combined. And analysts caution that June's numbers may be partly skewed by pre-tariff stockpiling earlier in the year, but trade flows are clearly being rerouted. The signal: tariff-driven supply chain adjustments are forcing both automakers and buyers to seek alternative sources, testing decades-old cross-border manufacturing relationships. That's a big data point, and that's brought to you here by CDG. Fascinating. Canada is buying more from Mexico than the U.S. I was recently in Canada, and by the way, you cannot get a Tito's there because it's made in Texas. We'll ask Roland a question about that. Because I think there's a little ruffled feathers north of the border about all the tariff whatnot, and it's shaking out in the numbers. So next up today, BMW is entering the luxury off-road segment with a new SUV codenamed, get this, G7-4, aimed squarely at taking share away from the Mercedes G-Class and Land Rover Defender. Set to launch in 2029, according to multiple sources. The rugged model is will be built in Spartanburg, South Carolina, along with the X5, X6, and X7. That'll have a tariff benefit, obviously. Initial versions will be gas-powered, though BMW hasn't ruled out an EV variant, and the design will blend new class elements with traditional off-road styling. Bottom line, a G-Wagon rival from BMW was bound to happen, but the automaker's last attempt at a halo SUV, the XM, was pretty lukewarm. However, a new modern rugged aesthetic could help set the G74 apart from the popular grocery getters. What's your take, Yuli? Can BMW compete with the all-popular G-Wagon?
I mean, it definitely can, but to say that the XM aesthetic was lukewarm is a stretch. I mean, that was a sight for sore eyes, or what do they say? A face only a mother could love.
Ooh, yes. Yes. I wish we had a picture. We'll ask the producer to put up a picture later on in the show so everybody else can see. Next up today, Yuli, what do you think about Mitsubishi putting a vehicle in a mall? So Mitsubishi is testing a new retail model with its first ever U.S. gallery dealership opening in early 2026 in Antioch, Tennessee. That's just outside of Nashville, I believe, as part of its Momentum 2030 brand reinvention plan. Built with City Auto Mitsubishi, the gallery will be located inside a busy shopping entertainment complex to capture casual foot traffic, not just active buyers. Instead of stocking a full lot, vehicles will be pulled from the main Murfreesboro store when a customer is ready to purchase, keeping overhead low. I think I just butchered the name of that city. Apologies to all my friends in Nashville. The space is designed like a mall showroom with brand specialists offering product walkthroughs, aiming to replicate the Apple Store style experience that's worked in luxury auto retail. With coverage in only a third of U.S. markets today, Mitsubishi sees the gallery model as a low-cost way to expand to 50% coverage by 2030 as new hybrids, a BEV, and a joint Nissan SUV hit showrooms. What do you think about that? Is that a good play for Mitsu to start putting Mitsubishis in the mall? They're hardly Apple.
Yeah, I think it's a super strange play. There's got to be a reason behind it. I mean, we've seen the Porsche galleries, we've seen the McLaren galleries, I've seen the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, but Mitsubishi, I don't know. I got a little question mark over my head here.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating. We'll see how that deal plays out. Maybe we can go visit it. Yeah, I agree with you a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what their play is on that. And then finally, up today in the news, props to our friends at the Fox Motor Company. They just picked up Tinney Chevrolet GMC in Greenville, Michigan, bringing the group to 47 stores over and more than 2,000 employees. The deal gives Fox Motors nearly 20 dealerships in West Michigan alone, which that puts them in common footprint with the Ziegler Auto Group. They're good friends over there, the entire crew, cementing its position as a dominant local player. And that kind of market concentration means serious pull with automakers and suppliers, from allocation to marketing muscle. Big picture, it's another example of how regional consolidation can pack as much punch as national growth strategies. And they are a solid group that just keeps expanding and keeps growing. And hey, as we wrap up today's news, because that is a wrap on the news for this Friday coming into the weekend, a reminder to our friends out there who are watching, our auto dealers. We get a lot of requests to join the show, and we're taking those requests into one place, dealers. If you want to join the show, go to cdgguest.com, fill out our intake form to be considered for a future guest spot. This is, a lot of people have said, is like a dealer 20. It's awesome to come here and learn best practices and hear how other dealers think and what they're doing to create an extraordinary result in their business. And that is the strength of this. So, again, we're funneling all those requests to cdgguest.com, and we're excited to have on many guests now and well into the future. And speaking of guests, Yuli, we teased it at the very top of the show, but why don't we turn to a super profitable Nissan store in Texas? And let's bring on Roland Lynn, Executive General Manager of Dan Davis Nissan and Clay Cooley Nissan. Roland, welcome to the show.
Roland, welcome.
How we doing, guys?
Excellent. So let's give a little background for those of us, not me, those of us out there that don't know you. Give a little context. Who are you? Where are you? What are you doing?
So Roland Lynn, Executive General Manager of Clay Cooley Nissan. Last month, I believe we were number 5 in the United States of Nissan dealers. And Don Davis Nissan, which is just about 10 miles down the road. And they were number 18 in the United States. So I run 2 of the top 20 Nissan stores in the United States right here in Dallas-Fort Worth for Mr. Clay and Chase Cooley.
Very strong. And we got to give you the trademark question. How's biz?
Man, business booming. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's
There we go.
You know, it's out there for the taking if you've got the gumption and the hustle.
Yeah, for sure. Quantify that for us, though. When you say business is booming, I mean, business is booming differently in different parts of the country. So you're in Texas. What's that look like for you per rooftop, new and used?
So I believe Duncanville, we did 230 on the dock new and 176 used. So just a touch over 400 retail. Don Davis was about 335, scratching at 340. And that breakdown would have been closer to about a 190 to 150. So 190 new, 150 used. So
strong numbers.
Kissing 750. We hopefully this month kissing 800 across both rooftops.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of buzz about Nissan, as you know, and you're in a great position. And we hear a lot of negativity. We do love Nissan. I know you love Nissan as a group. We love Nissan. We want to see all good things. I mean, how have you leveraged that Nissan One program? It seems to be working for you.
Yeah. So it's structured that it rewards people for doing their job, hitting the 110%. So the way we leverage it is we just assume we're going to hit it. A failure is not an option. You know, I was at the regional meeting yesterday, the Nissan's RMP, and I heard guys talking about their objective and this and that. You know, the standard, moaning that everybody does. Failure is not an option, so we just put it in our math stack. So we're a volume dealer. We're not going to pass a deal. And so $1,200 a car when you hit the 110%, plus holdback, plus the factory money, co-op, floor plan credits, everything else. There's not a lot of deals that when you do all that math stack plus F&I don't make sense. So, you know, I get deals from other dealers in my market all the time that are passing $1,000 or $1,500 loser. Well, that math, when you add all the different things that I just went over with you, is still very profitable. And a desk manager controlling your destiny, kicking out a $1,500 or $2,000 loser in the screen, is not doing you any service as a dealer in my mind.
So without asking the question, we already know the answers. I mean, there's dealers out there that focused on gross, and there's dealers out there that focus on volume. In your setting right now, you're very clearly dialed in on volume. So we got to ask, like, what's the secret sauce? How are you so successful out there?
So first I would say there is no secret sauce. And you can't just completely throw gross out the window because you're not going to be able to keep your guys. If your sales managers aren't making a living, then they're not going to stay with you. What I would say is we want to maximize every opportunity we can. We want to sell as many cars as we can. And that is the secret sauce. So I
was just going to say there are a lot of Nissan dealers that are watching this program right now, or some anyway. Okay. And some of them are thinking, hey, you know what? Nissan's had a challenge. Stellantis has had a challenge. We even brought up Mitsubishi. You don't want to put those three all together, but some would. And they're saying, hey, we're struggling to turn a positive net. What are mindset aside, what are some specific tips and strategies that you've implemented that have helped you to create this? You are selling a tremendous amount of new inventory for the Nissan brand, and you're bucking a trend that a lot of dealers are involved in right now. What would you say to somebody that says, hey, pulling $1 million net out of two just doesn't, you can't do that in today's marketplace?
I would say that's a weak mindset.
Because?
Well, it starts with, I was sharing this with Yuli yesterday when we were getting ready for the show. Yeah. Attitude is everything. So if I did an interview with you, Sam, the first thing I would tell you is that your attitude is your altitude. You know, if you think it's good or bad, either way, you're right. So you might as well think it's going to be great. Because if you think it's going to be bad, you're defeated before you ever start. So that dealer that says, hey, it's Nissan, I can't make money, he lost before he showed up for work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Attitude is your altitude. Second thing, hard work. I shared this also with Yuli. Leonardo da Vinci quote, success is the relentless execution of the basics. So the secret sauce, if there is one, is what no one wants to hear in this generation of Apple and iPads and instant gratification. And that's put your boots on and go to work. Have one-on-ones with salespeople. You as the general manager, you as the general sales manager. Have a one-on-one with the salesperson. Dig into the CRM. See what they're doing with your leads. If you're doing your job as a general manager, you're flooding them with the leads. But if you're doing your job as a manager of your team, you're making sure you're holding them accountable for the money you're spending on the leads.
Okay. I love that comment, by the way, Yuli, just real quick. You mentioned the Apple generation. So Mitsubishi, they're literally trying to duplicate Apple by going into a mall to become more successful and to turn around. If we look at your business from a process standpoint, thinking about those customers coming in through the door, what does the first step in the process look like? What is your most successful lead generating tool? Is it digital leads through a certain source? Where are you getting customers coming in through the door? What's your best advertising and lead source generation today? And then are you doing a BDC or is it frontline sales?
No, frontline sales. We don't have a dedicated. We have a corporate BDC that follows up with, you know, the crumbs that fall through the cracks, missed appointments, you know, long leads over 7 days that are after they've passed the normal salesperson hot lead. But that's pretty much all they do. The hot lead that comes in is worked by a salesperson who knows the most about the car, who deals with people every day. And as far as the best lead, it's probably from my website. You know, these third-party leads, especially so like the factory or, you know, cars.com, Car Gurus, all these leads, they're giving this lead and most of them to 4 or 5 other dealers, whether they tell you that or not.
Yeah, you want them on your own site.
Yeah, you just look at your closing percentages. Your own website is going to be, for us at least, and you know some dealers may be different, is the absolute best. You know, your own organic traffic on a car that is on your lot, and they're on your website. So you need some strong CTAs to get the customer engaged on your car on your website, and that's probably.
So what's your strongest CTA right now? What
I'm
what are
not
you doing?
The smartest guy in the world, so I'm going to give you a lot of simple answers.
Yeah.
You know, thank God I didn't go into brain surgery. I didn't have to be really smart to be a good car dealer.
What's your strong CTA?
Yeah.
Unlock my price because of Nissan's, you know, covenants. That's a really strong one. We love Capital One. Capital One's consistently one of our strongest CTAs, and you know, their showroom, their digital experience is really good. I'm on the ATP board, Advisors to the President, with Capital One, and so they're doing a lot of exciting things in retail and what they're developing as well.
So it's interesting. There are so many different lenders out there that want to put a button on your website. So Cap One's the one you went with. Did you look at others and you decided Cap One because the ROI was higher, or do you have multiple different?
You know, I really like a lot of the guys that work for some of these other companies, and we've tried to use them. So I'm not gonna tell you the names of the ones I don't like. Let's just say they're not on my website. We've tried a lot. We've tried a lot of the digital retail, a whole lot of CTAs, we try a lot of things as a group level. You know, Yuli and I yesterday were talking about the AI and the chat bots and the different. We're consistently trying to get ahead of the curve and find the next one that's a true large language model AI. It's not out there yet, but if you're not actively testing, at least piloting. So Fox, the dealer group you were just talking about in Michigan, they have 40 rooftops. You don't have to roll it out at all 40. You can beta test it at 2 and see what result you get. And if you're not doing that, and you're not trying,
is there a tool you like?
We like Podium right now, but no vendor should ever be safe. Right? This should be laissez-faire at its best. If a vendor invents a better mousetrap and gives me a true large language model AI that will engage not only how many cubic feet are in the back of that Mercedes-Benz or BMW you were just talking about, but also how it ties into how, Sam, you know, we noticed you do camping, and I want you to know that, you know, it will fit the biggest tent available at your local Academy Outdoors. And oh, by the way, the 4-wheel drive will get you through, you know, this 8 inches of mud, and you won't ever get stuck, and blah, blah, blah. You know, once it's at that level, somebody's going to create it, and we want to make sure that we have it when it comes out.
So I got to call you out right there. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not camping. There's no camping in my future. So your AI got it wrong. We got to fix that. But here's what I think everybody else, and I'm seeing the comments getting lit up with questions. Your achievement of this million net between the 2 stores in a month and multiple months is significant. Everybody wants to know practically how are you getting there? So lead generation is one. Fixed ops is another. What's your fixed absorption right now between the 2?
Fixed absorption for us, I told Yuli if there was one thing that I really want to work on, and I told Mr. Cooley this, we would dominate. In our 20 group, one of the best fixed ops guys told me this as well. We would just dominate the pages if we could get better. I want to say fixed is in the mid 40s, and total absorption, because we dominate, it is low. Total absorption is where we really make up a lot of ground, and we are probably 80% absorbed after total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a big part of your net is through front end sales. Finance. What's your process on finance?
Probably the old school, or a normal F&I turn when they close on the deal. They're then turned over into a finance office, and we have a business manager pitch ancillary products, build value. We do menu selling, and yeah, I mean that's the same process when I was doing it 25 years ago. You have a finance manager take a turn.
And any average PVR?
The gold standard for Nissan within the Clay Cooley organization is 2,500. We don't always achieve that, but we are chasing it. I'd say 22 to 2,500, somewhere around that range is where we average.
Strong.
Yeah. Yossi, the car dealership guy, Roland, you garnered a social media comment from him. Love your honesty about fixed absorption. It's tough out there for many. And fixed is a run, right? So also a couple comments from others. Tyler Miller, finance director at Nissan here in Houston. Eddie Eisenberg says over under on Nissan making it through. You're definitely bullish and
Over
Nissan. You'd be insane. Yeah.
Over. Hey, if that guy's out on the Nissan business, he needs to get the hell out and sell to somebody who believes.
Yeah. So with where you are and you're producing this great result, what keeps you up at night about the next 6 months? Like, what is your biggest obstacle that you're planning for to continue the streak in this positive net? What threatens that most?
I don't have that mindset. I just told you, if you're up at nights, you need to get the hell out.
I love it.
Yeah.
So nothing. The answer is
I'll tell you a challenge that we're not in love with, and you mentioned it on one of your headlines, is the tariffs. Sentra, Kicks, Versa, all these cars are the volume cars, and they're all out of Mexico. Nissan can't support us with any rebates or really any flexibility as long as they're paying 25%. And Nissan did a great job of not passing that down to consumers. A lot of the manufacturers have said, look, there's no way we can absorb all of this. And sorry about that. So there's no way that they can absorb all of that. And Nissan's done a great job of really not passing that down to the next consumer.
Yeah, but they will have to at some point, right? Like maybe in the next model year rollover. Yeah,
correct. And that's something that I'd say concerns me. But to your point, hopefully cooler heads prevail, and they work something out, and here we go.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So walk us through. So we talked lead generation, we talked fixed ops. We talked advertising. You mentioned your process on the showroom floor with salespeople. Who's your CRM that you currently use, and is that a tool that's a benefit or a strength for you in your process overall?
We use Tekion for CRM and DMS. And
really? Okay. How long have you been on Tekion?
The DMS was October of 24.
Okay. Okay.
And the CRM was February of this year.
Okay. Now look, positive mindset, it's a given. And in fact, you're getting comments all over social. David Villa says, what's up, Roland? Lauren Klein says, love the positivity. Lauren Klein also says, let's go. When you made that transition, was it a challenge? Did it help increase your business? Did the team improve through the transition?
Anybody that tells you that changing a DMS is easy is lying.
I love it. All right, there goes the positivity. All right, here we go.
Yeah. A divorce or your house burning down is probably less stressful. Okay.
Yeah.
And anybody that tells you any different, they're lying. All right.
Yeah.
But look, there's a lot of positivities. There's a lot of things. My owner, Mr. Cooley, told me we didn't make the change for what the product is now. We made the change for what we believe Tekion will be in the next 3 to 5 years. And they have a tremendous product. It's so much more user friendly for somebody like to train somebody on CDK or Reynolds. it takes weeks or months before they're really proficient.
Yeah.
Techion is just user friendly. The user interface is common sense. There's a search bar at the top if you get lost. Fabulous, but
Yeah.
we love the product, and the CRM is the same. And because they live in the same world, creating a deal from the CRM is as simple as clicking the button at the top that says create a deal on this customer. And then you're right in the DMS.
Yeah. Interesting. Final question, parts operation. Do you have a wholesale parts? Do you guys deliver parts regionally, or do you serve
Absolutely.
your own? Okay.
Absolutely. I'm a wholesale parts dealer. Look, I know fixed is something we need to work on, and so we're working on growing it. I'm an NADA graduate. You mentioned
I
the
saw it
picture on my
the-
LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
know that I'm supposed to be 70% fixed absorption. I
know
know
the
that I'm
numbers.
supposed to be 100% total absorbed after used. I'm aware of these metrics.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and so we're striving to get there. And if we do, I'm already very profitable. I know I'm going to make a lot more money.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I love it. David Villa, as we wrap out, says, man is number 5 and number 18 out of 1,100 Nissan dealerships in the country. Absolutely slaying it. But if asked, he credits his team. So props to you. And then Nate, the truck driver, while he's driving, hopefully not. His confidence and honesty are admirable. Roland Lynn, you are the envy of many Nissan dealers out there across the country. Thanks for sharing some of your secret sauce. And the gavel. Show everybody the gavel, Roland, as we wrap here. Executive General Manager of Don Davis Nissan and Clay Cooley Nissan, holding the gavel. We appreciate you being on the show and sharing.
Can I say one last thing, guys?
Today. Please go for it.
Kindness and honesty are core values of the Cooley organization, and I believe they're lost on a lot of guys in this industry. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. Work just as hard or harder than the guy you're telling to do a job, and I believe they'll run through a brick wall for you.
And I can speak firsthand to that. I mean, that kind of permeates throughout the organization there. It's a remarkable thing. Hats off to you, Roland.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Roland, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool story. I just want to know everything about how they're getting to that, because I wonder if many dealers understand how tough it is to pull as big a net as they're pulling across the country. They're doing an incredible job. Texas helps, obviously. His attitude is incredible. Obviously, they've got processes nailed down in every area, but it's not all coming out of fixed. Given the absorption, it's coming out of variable, and they're crushing it. So obviously the Nissan programs are helping it as well, but
big time. And something he didn't mention, obviously being in the territory that is in, there's no broker business that's full retail. And I think he had mentioned in a previous conversation with me, he's at like 1% lease penetration. So it's like very different than a lot of the country, at least where I'm at, where we're at 70% lease pen. So
yeah. Fair. Paul Elliott says, love your comments, Roland. And Nate, the truck driver, to our question about whether he is in fact driving a truck. Hopefully it's not a parts delivery truck for some organization. He says, no, I'm not driving today. I'm off. Nate, we appreciate you listening to the show. So, well, let's talk lot links for just a quick second. Get the best possible marketing advantage on every vehicle transaction. Optimize operations, boost profits using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Learn more at lotlinks.com, or you can also scan the QR code. It'll pop it right up. If you have a cell phone and you can do it on your laptop, that's fantastic. If you're watching on your cell phone and you can click that, that's even better. Props to LotLinks for making today's content available. And we're just going to go headlong into the next topic, which is fixed ops. We touched on it a little bit in Texas. Now we go back to the East Coast. We welcome aboard Dave Rogers, fixed ops director at the Piazza Auto Group. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. Oh, no.
Dave, we appreciate you.
Undoable.
We're going to give you just a second to get the audio piece worked out. And I know as soon as you come back, you'll have it. Give us one more test, Dave.
Yeah.
It's not muted.
There he is.
Oh, there we go.
We got you now.
Perfect.
All right, Dave, we appreciate you being with us. We're going to go to our banner question. How's biz at the Piazza organization of fixed ops?
Fixed ops, it's good. We're having a great year. I think overall, considering, all the stories you're hearing out there, 10% over in gross profit year over year so far. And, we're rocking. We do 33,000 ROs a month, and that's up from last year. So it's it's very good.
10%
Can't
increase
complain.
year over year. Yeah, that's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Can't
your
complain.
brands across Piazza, Honda, Acura, Hyundai, Mazda, VW, Nissan, Subaru, New Jersey. Which of these brands do you work with, or do you work with all of them across the group?
I work with all of them. We're decentralized a little bit. 30 stores. The GM is responsible for the P&L and running the dealership. There's 3 different owners that kind of oversee their individual stores. But I'm more like a consultant, going in the stores, helping the guys out, whatever they need. So I from Mercedes to Hyundai to Mazda, doesn't matter. I'll go to every store.
Yeah. And what's your background? How did you get into the fixed ops role? You have an interesting journey coming from, you started in fixed and actually went into as a GM for a very short period of time.
Yeah, as a real young lad, I started as an apprentice tech, um, and then had a motorcycle accident. Couldn't turn a wrench anymore. So went to my boss after I recovered, and I said, "Hey, can I learn something?" So they had me as a lot guy, a valet, an appointment taker, whatever. And eventually, I became an advisor and worked my way up in the business, just like probably everyone else. Mainly fixed ops. I was a parts manager, service manager, warranty, platform over a bunch of stores. And then 2010-ish, became a GM of a Chevy Cadillac Hummer store right after the economy. It was coming back a little bit then. But
Yeah.
yeah, I did that for about 6 years. And then I had the opportunity. I left the public group and I came to the private group and went back to fixed ops.
Yeah. So 10% increase year over year. That's a
Yep.
significant increase for a group your size. How many stores are across the Piazza organization?
So we have 30 stores.
Okay. So we've had several fixed ops directors on this show, and one in particular said, "Hey, the biggest metric he focuses on is retention," to the point where he and his variable ops director sit and fight about whether they can deliver a vehicle out of their footprint
Hmm.
because it would detract from their retention. So that was an interesting conversation. You have also a pretty unique take. And if I ask you the question, "Hey, what is generating that biggest 10 what are a couple components most critical to generating that 10% increase year over year?" What would you say?
Well, we've been for 5 years at least. We've been really concentrating on advisors, selling skills. We have a training company that comes in and it's hands-on how to present a multi-point, how to talk about maintenance, required stuff on the cars. So we've been focusing on that for years now, 5, 6 years. We have a training university online so they can take the advisors can take tests and you know hone their skills, as we say. Um,
Yeah,
and then the other thing is, we stopped drinking the Kool-Aid probably 5, 6 years ago with the factory maintenance. They're
interesting.
recommended maintenance intervals that are ridiculous. Um, you can't go a year with changing oil on a car, so we've been, doing honest recommendations for every 6 months, every 6,000 miles, and I think it's helped with our RO count. It's helped with our business because we're being honest with people, but you know,
So we want to come back to the sales training piece in a bit because I think that is
mhm.
an important part of your increase. But let's talk about this factory maintenance. Set the problem up for our dealer that may be listening that may not totally see it. The OEM makes a recommendation on the number of miles or time to an oil change, and you're saying that's not right. Why does the
Well,
OEM make a recommendation, and why is it not right?
they're not really making a recommendation anymore. They're putting lights in cars, and the light
Yeah,
comes on and tells the driver that you have, I don't know, 15% to go for your oil change. Well, that's
yeah,
8,000 miles after you started driving. So at 15% to go, you're probably 35% overdue. It's more
yeah.
like an idiot light now. If that light comes on, you're overdue for maintenance in our belief. And they're doing it for a cost of, the cost per mile driven. They're not doing it to extend the life of the car. Most of them don't care what happens after 50,000 miles when it's out of warranty. So, I just think they're doing everyone a disservice with this convenience of, oh, the light will tell you when to maintain the car. It's just totally wrong. You have
So how do you?
BMWs and Mercedes, going a
Yeah.
year, 12,000 miles with an oil change.
Mm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So how do you message past the OEM, the manufacturer's light? They built the car, right? The assumption would be they know when it needs to be changed, the oil. How do you come in and say, "Hey, that's not quite right. We recommend you do it more"?
It again goes back to, we've been doing this for a long time. Severe driving schedules. No, Yuli, in Northeast, there's not one flat road without a pothole. We have extreme temperatures. Extreme temperatures. I talked to a friend of mine down in Texas. I'm like, you guys have ideal driving conditions. They go, no, we don't. Our roads suck too, right? So, but you have extreme heat, like we're having now in the Northeast. You have extreme cold. These conditions merit taking the car in. And I don't think it's much to bring a car in twice a year. I think you had a guest on not too long ago that said you'll go to the dentist twice a year, but you don't want to come to the car dealership, right? But twice a year, change the oil, rotate the tires, and that's probably what you're going to need for the first couple of years. So that's been our driving message and some people believe us, some people
and an
don't.
alignment, obviously, and an alignment
Once
for
a
these
year,
roads.
once a year. Yep, yeah.
So
at least once a year.
So Dave, you've got a lot of ROs coming in and out of your organization, your rooftops. Lauren Klein is asking online, are you using a service BDC to get that traffic and to stay engaged with your clientele?
So we have outsourced in some of my high volume stores, BDC answers the phones, inbound calls. Some of our stores smaller, they do it in-house. We haven't consolidated really a lot of the back end operations or accounting or anything. Again, they're standalone entities. We do share some accounting here and there, but we try to treat them as individual stores, and we try to customize whatever that store needs based on the geography and the culture, because every store does have a different culture. They're not all the same. Atlantic City to Harrisburg are two different areas.
And so you have the GM take total accountability for the P&L in that case, and then you come in kind of as an advisor or a consultant, helping them to increase their production in that store. Dan C says, glad to hear Dave's honesty. 5,000 mile max for oil changes, many times closer to 3,000 for me, depending on driving conditions. So good feedback from Dan C. So as you're in your different stores and you're trying to help them lean into that 10% increase and grow it, is there anything that, I guess, two-part question. One, how much capacity do you have beyond where you are today? And then are there any tools that are helping you increase that business, or is anything in AI? But so first, capacity. How much capacity do you have in your stores, Dave?
Most of our stores are close to being maxed out. And I shouldn't say most of them, a lot of them are. We have some new facilities. We're okay there. Some older facilities need some upgrades, and we're working on those plans. But for the most part, we're okay. We still have a little room, and we could shift. We haven't done 4-day work weeks in a lot of places. We are open Saturday everywhere, so we still have some flexibility. But as everyone in the business knows, it's tough with the technicians and recruiting and filling up the bays all the time. So we're doing the best we can that way. But we have room to grow. I see this company having a big upside in the future.
So recalls are a big business in franchise dealer world. So Ford is the number one recalled OEM currently, but there's many of the OEMs even that you have that have significant recalls. How are you dealing with those? And do you have any unique or interesting tools, AI or otherwise, that are helping capitalize on the recall work?
So one thing on the recalls, depending on the customer, I mean, we try to take two approaches. If it's a normal customer, obviously, you're going to bring them in, do whatever you have to do. If it's a new customer, they got notified, they've never been there before. We try to make it easy, bring them in. We're trying to slot it and schedule. A lot of our stores have a separate schedule when they're getting hammered with these recalls, because you don't want to chase away your normal customers, but you do want to take in anyone that has a recall because they're scared sometimes, right? So we try to do a lighter approach on that. Some of these people have never been to a store, or they left dealerships. And so, when they come in, we ask them permission if they want the multi-point. We ask them permission if they say yes. Do you want us to review it with you? We don't waste a lot of time getting price and availability on stuff. We don't want them to think that we're trying to sell them anything. So we're trying to gain a new customer, right? But the biggest flow with that is trying to schedule some of these recalls, crankshafts that you're doing, the connecting rod bearings and stuff. They're 3 to 5 hour jobs. I mean, how many are you going to do in a day, right?
So the biggest challenge is slotting those, right?
Yeah, it's slotting them and trying not. Years ago, when Takata had the big recalls, I'd say 2015, a lot of the stores, they lost their regular customers because they were inundated with these recalls. The airbags scared people to death. You couldn't say no to them. and you were just a machine doing airbag recalls, and your regular customers couldn't get in for an oil change for 3-4 months. So,
So,
we've made a conscious effort to avoid doing that again.
so how have you gotten around that? Do you do mobile service to handle a lot of those recalls?
We have 3 stores that do mobile service. They do very, very well with it. We have, again, slot. We make a separate drive-through in the appointment scheduler.
Separate.
So
Yeah, got
separate,
it.
so you can kind of, like fuel pump recalls in one car might be a 2-hour job. I mean, again, if you have 3 guys trained to do it, you can only take in so many, right?
Yeah.
But we try to do it that way to logic it out and not disrupt the regular flow. So that's the challenge.
Have you looked at any AI solutions? We got brought Busy Car. It's a company that we've talked a little bit about on the show. Brought them into a few of our stores, and it's interesting because they have a direct feed from the OEM, and they can actually match the slot on your calendar, even in the separate lanes you're scheduling, with the parts availability. Because last thing you want is customer to come in and say, "Hey, there's no parts available," and then they can outreach to the customer by text and kind of bring that customer in without any interaction, which is kind of interesting, right? I don't know if you've seen any AI tools that are similar that have worked for you guys or not.
I mean, I used Recall Masters years ago. That was a little bit more, analog, I'd say.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't tried Busy Car. I mean, we do AI, I do tinker. I'm an old guy. I've been in the business a long time, but I'm not a dinosaur, so I will
Yeah,
try some of this stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, some of the AI. My biggest disappointment with the AI is it doesn't complete the transaction like I'd like it. If it's
yeah,
going to take the phone, it's going to take the stuff. Well, put it into my CDK, and they can't. Most of these
yeah.
vendors, they'll tell you they can, but they can't. And so that's to me the missing piece of it, using the AI. But yeah, I see potential with it.
It's interesting because AI has such a wide span of it works and it's great, or it's terrible and it doesn't even begin to live up to the promise. And I think it depends on the company, the people that are
Oh yeah.
supporting it, and how quickly they're innovating. Because AI as a technology is innovating so absolutely fast. What
Mhm.
didn't work 6 months ago may get closer to working today. So, a couple other questions. One I'll bring up in just a minute from Dan C. But I want to go back to MPI. You mentioned MPI. Whose MPI do you use? What's your MPI process and service?
So we have a couple different platforms. We have a CDK in a lot of our CDK stores, obviously. We
Yeah,
use
very
Dealer
good.
Logics. We use Dealer Logics in a couple of 4 stores. We still have some smaller stores that still on handwrites. They're doing handwritten ones still. But yeah, we use the service lane technology from CDK, and the rentals in one store as well.
And do you do videos as part of that? So that was Dan's question.
Do
Does any of the Piazza stores do service videos? Tell us about the
uh,
videos, how you implemented it, how you trained on it, and how you ensure it happens, or what percent of the time it happens.
so the videos, yeah, that's a chat. It's been a slow go. Some guys adopted to it. The Mazda stores were the first ones really to jump on it because it was kind of mandated by Mazda.
Yeah.
Um, we have different stores with different levels, but we're pretty good with it. I mean, overall, I think the last I looked at the report, we're at 75% videos created. I'd like to get the sent ones up a little bit higher, but we're still 60% sent of those videos. So customers love it. We see the delta. The delta is an extra 6-7 tenths in RO. The dollars add up, obviously, but it's just sometimes turning the technicians to get them to do the video. We pay some guys to do it. Other guys,
Yeah.
there's just different spiff programs that we've done. But that's really successful. It's customers love it. And for the most part, people like it. I had one person tell me it scared them because they didn't like to look underneath their car. But for the most part, yeah, I don't want to see that. That's dirty. But but yeah, no, it's been listen, that technology is. I started using that back in 2015. There was a quick video company out there that Volkswagen sponsored, and we took this little Volkswagen store from like 1.5 hours in RO to 3 hours in RO. As soon as we
Yeah.
let the tech send the video right to the customer, we found it was obvious that the service writers were screening the work, and it was never
Yep.
getting to the customer.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, man, we doubled our business. It was crazy.
So Dave, I have a question. So you're at a percentage of service videos than is less than where you want to be. If they work, and we know they work, what's the biggest challenge to getting into 100%? Like, we could probably calculate that delta between where you are and 100% and tie it back to an average dollar per RO and generate, probably in your case, millions. if we were at 100%. Why
It's
can't
it,
we get to 100% in automotive?
listen, it's in automotive. Listen, 20 years ago,
Yeah.
you tell people do it or get the hell out. It doesn't
Right.
work that way anymore, right? It really
Yeah.
doesn't work that way anymore. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's the coaching aspect, and one of the metrics and different things is the behavior part, right? Hours per hour, effective labor rate, and all that stuff. But I think monitoring those, how many videos do you make? How many videos are sent? How many multi-points do you print? Do you email? How many of those are completed? I think that's the coaching part, and I think that's you just do it slowly. You just I don't think
Yeah.
it has to be fixed to day one. You could take it over time and fix it. So
So you mentioned
continuous
you brought a
improvement.
company in and they've helped you do training. Who is that and what's kind of the process in training? Because I think that's awesome. We do that at the Ziegler Auto Group. We have Ziegler University. We do a ton of training internally and fixed ops, the training that we do in fixed ops with up and coming technicians, with service writers, everybody else. It changes the experience people have in our service drives across the group. And I just wonder why more don't do it. Who are you bringing in, and what's kind of the the topic or the methodology for the training?
So we linked up with Steve Shaw Training is
Oh
who we
yeah, I
use.
know Steve Shaw. He's a good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Steve,
used to
he's a
work with
great
him in
dude,
my
right?
Zurich days. Yeah,
Yep. Right.
yeah,
That's how I was introduced because we use Zurich, and
yeah,
so he either comes in twice a year, does we depends we mix it up, but we have like some of the newer advisors one day, some of the experienced guys might be intermingled in, so they can give some advice. We'll take the top the bottom 20 advisors and make them go through the training. And his
yeah.
big thing is, as you know, is service lane and presenting the multi-point the correct way and talking
Yes,
using some verbal linguistic certain cues and words and to load the lips of these advisors. A lot of
yeah,
times they're not mechanically inclined. They don't know the cars.
yep,
They're skittish about selling things for some reason. It's almost like a lot of them just want to be friends with the customer, and that's part of our training. They're not there to be friends with you. They want to know what's wrong with your car, present the facts, and tell me how much it costs. Right? So
So I have a theory.
Yeah.
Tell me if you think this theory is right. So it's interesting. F and I went through this whole thing of training, right? Learn how to
mhm.
present, learn how to create value. It's an intangible product. Sales, they went through training well before F&I. Like sales training was all the rage in the 80s, 90s. Finance was 90s and 2000s. Fixed ops is in its heyday right now, where if you
Mhm.
really want to deliver an excellent customer experience, training and fixed ops, there's nothing more important than today. And that's funny, Dave, you say that because the biggest objection I hear is exactly what you're hearing, which is we don't sell in service. Well, the biggest pull for a customer to bring them back into the store is service. And it's not
Mhm.
selling, it's solving problems and it's helping customers know what's available. And I agree with you, man. I think I'd be curious from your perspective, because you've been in fixed ops and then you've been a general manager and now you're back in fixed ops. What do you see as the biggest need in fixed? When you look at the different variable fixed, you know, at Piazza, you look 6 months down the road. What's the next big thing that you need to work on to continue that growth, that 10% growth year over year that you've experienced recently?
I mean, we're looking at some technology, looking at AI and some tools and stuff. Yeah, I think it's the same thing, beating the drum, working on the
Yeah,
process, working on perfection. And you're never going to get there, but you got to try. Just like in sales, when you grade a salesperson, you're looking at a CRM. How many appointments did you make? How many appointments did you confirm? How many road
yeah,
tests did you take? Right, all the steps of the sale. Well, the same thing goes in service. How many multi points did you do? How many
yeah.
recommendations did you get? What's your closing percentage? And I think you just have to work on those behavioral things and just keep driving it little by little.
Yeah.
Isn't it so funny though that so many dealerships I do not hesitate at all to train the sales department and finance department over and over again, and they completely miss the fact that your service advisor is talking to what 5 times more
Yeah,
people than your salesperson, 10 times more people than your salesperson every single day. So why shouldn't they be the most highly trained person in the
I
dealership?
I laugh. I say this all the time. Is you know for years they couldn't spell or say the word absorption. Now all
Yeah.
of a sudden they can't sell new cars. There's no margin. Now they run back to service. Hey, we need more gross, right?
Yeah.
It's just so reactionary. And listen, it
Yeah.
happened in '08, '09. It happened in '98 when there was a recession. They do the same thing. It's like, oh, we need more out of fixed. Well, where were you 3 years ago, 4 years ago during COVID? You know, like we could have spent a lot of money training people then. And in our company,
Yeah.
we did. We actually, right before COVID started, we doubled down on the training, and we spent some of that money during COVID when, you know, dealers were doing great. And I think it's paying off now.
What would you say to a dealer group that's listening, a dealer? We're in August of 2025 that says, hey, look, my service is good. We don't need to train like we do with sales and finance. You know, Steve Shaw, I remember he and I worked together. I worked with Zurich, and the service training, to your point, getting dealers to pay dollars for that service training was a challenge until they saw it and they saw the impact it had. Um, First, what would you say to a dealer that says it's not worth the investment? And second, can you quantify a dollar benefit back to that training? Have you been able to do that across your group?
I don't know if I could attribute just to that. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go into it, but you know, we raised our effective labor rate sizably after the first year. It was incredible, and
Yeah.
a lot of the guys that took the training to heart, and you know, that's part of the other thing is do you get buy-in from the manager? Sometimes that can slow your progress, but no, I think you know, we're at a 60% work mix where it's coming from customer pay throughout the whole group. We're at 90% absorption, true absorption, not counting the
Wow.
one
Good.
across
Yeah.
with our premium stores, and 86 under our volume stores. So, you know, we've been really working on the fixed ops um, growth, and I've been with this company 8 years, and it's just been, you know, it's going straight up, you know, and I see, you know, this stuff is paying off. All the training's paying off. So.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, you've definitely got this focus on behavioral metrics versus standard KPIs. For our audience, and you've kind of already said it, what's one or two behavioral metrics that you would just focus on above all else versus the standard KPIs? What are a couple of those behavioral metrics that that should be top of mind to every fixed ops director?
Like I believe that, you know, you should be doing a multi-point inspection on at least 95% of the cars coming in the door.
Yeah.
And then if you have the service lane technology, you know, how many are being emailed, how many are being printed? Because it's
Yeah.
not always the case. Just to do the MPI doesn't do anything if you don't present it, right? The video percentage. I mean, I think you have to work on that to get continuous improvement. And
Yeah.
you know, in CDK service, there's a report where it's the quality of the job sold, recommended by the advisors and the technicians. It's interesting when you go in there and look at your technicians, what they're recommending, and you see, you know, 5 technicians and one turns a lot of hours and 3 don't, you know, and there's one guy in the middle, and you start looking, and you say, hey, wait, why don't you, you know, let's look at what this guy's looking, let's see what he's seeing on the car, you know, and let's train them that way. What's the right way to do a multi-point or merchandise the car is a different way of phrasing it.
Mhm.
So I think you just
Yeah.
have to focus on those, and the numbers will come.
Yeah. Well, Dave Rogers, Fixed Ops Director, Piazza Auto Group, we appreciate you being on the show, sharing your fixed ops perspective, sharing these behavioral metrics. We're going to add you. You know, at some point, we need to do a roundtable with you and Tully. Tully talks about retention as this metric. He won't even let variables sell out of state. I'd love to bring you both on a panel and just talk through these different metrics that you follow, because I think everybody can learn from it. We appreciate you sharing this with us today. So, Dave Rogers, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Dave.
Appreciate it. Yep. Thanks.
Lots of good comments out there too, as Dave shares this with us. Paul Elliott says, consistent training makes more money every day, all
Mhm.
day. But training in fixed ops hasn't been a gold standard for as long.
Yeah.
Props to Steve Shaw and others that are out working to change that. Zurich, Steve Shaw, and others. So, Yuli, what do you think? Fixed ops training.
It's not sexy, right? The training in fixed ops, but it's a necessity. You know, everyone wants the glory. And I feel like it's really easy to recognize that from the sales team, but this is the backbone of the organization. And, you know, when you think
Yeah.
about service and service retention, even if you were able to retain 98%, right? So like you lost 2% of your customers per month, which would be outrageously good, right? That's like a
Yeah.
22% loss at the end of the year. So you really need to nail this stuff down. If you're trying
Yeah.
to grow a business, build an empire, you need to make sure you're capturing the customers and fighting like hell to keep them.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Nate, the truck driver, I deliver Toyota parts, actually. I'm ready to park it and get into sales. Nate, the truck driver, go to CDG Recruiting. There's a ton of spots open there.
Yeah.
And then if you don't find what you're looking for there, go to Ziegler.com. We need all the best in sales. And the fact you listen and watch this show shows you're growing and learning even in your personal time. Lauren Klein agrees with you, Yuli. Training is so rarely seen in the service drive, and we do need to do more of it. So, and you know, it as he was talking, it reminded me. It just seems like there was such a focus in variable and sales for a while. Then the focus was in F&I, and right now, fixed ops is where we need it to hire and recruit and build and retain the best talent out there. So,
well, he said the word reactionary instead of being proactive about it.
Yeah. Well, a cool show today. And now we know how to go out and make, $1 million net at a Nissan store in Texas, and how to up our game in fixed ops. So very cool.
Before we go, don't forget, you got to promote your new late night special.
What's the new? Oh my gosh, what is this?
Sam,
this is
after dark.
This is a complete surprise to me. I love it. That's fantastic. You love what AI can create. Who made that, by the way, Yuli?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Taylor, but it wasn't me.
I love it. Thank you, Taylor, for bringing that in. And to our audience on this Friday, we're pumped to be back with you again on Monday. Thanks for watching the Daily Dealer Live. Do I need my own night talk show? The Dr. Dark at night? All right. I love it. Thank you for watching the Daily Dealer Live, where we break down the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. I love that graphic. Don't forget, we're here live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if this is your world, hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never, ever miss a beat. And we'll see you next episode, everybody. See you Monday.
Thanks, guys.